Hello and welcome to the Great Divergence, Unit 3, Part 4. And in this final video of the first part of the Great Divergence, we'll look at the diffusion of the nation-state by asking this essential question. How did the European state model spread throughout the world?
The last section we'll look at is the global diffusion of the nation-state. Driven by mercantilism, monarchs of the European nation-states sought more power and control. They expanded around the globe to establish colonies in order to acquire gold and to create favorable balances of trade. Firms like the British East India Company were supported by their respective governments with subsidies and benefits. At the same time, merchants, driven by capitalism, competed along regional and global trading networks. Now, capitalism is an economic system based on competition among private individuals and companies. Now, merchants were middlemen, transporting the goods between locations. But over time, merchants and entrepreneurs worked to own the means of production. That's referring to raw materials, labor, and capital, which is basically money and profit. Cottage industries were also established, in which entrepreneurs provided some peasants with equipment and raw materials. They then paid them a fixed price for those goods. And this helped the entrepreneurs lower their costs and make more profit. This also helped increase the peasants' wealth and their education, which led to the growth of nuclear families. Now, nuclear families are those in which you have homes with only the parents and children, whereas extended families, kind of like you see here in this image, was much more prevalent beforehand. And of course, with the growing middle class, or the bourgeoisie, this expanded dramatically at this time, with merchants, bankers, doctors, artisans, and other people like those.
And putting it all together, by the late 17th century, profiting from connections created by global exploration, expansion, and colonization, the West emerged from its religious strife more prosperous and powerful than ever. The Europeans dominated the globe, diffusing their culture, as well as their model of the nation-state, worldwide. And now it's time for another snide remark.
So, starting at the beginning of our story, absolute monarchs developed nation-states over time by kicking out minorities and consolidating their land. Then the Northern Renaissance, as we talked about, focused more on Christianity and education as compared with the Italian Renaissance. The location, situation, and the organization of Germany made it an ideal place for a potential revolt, led by Martin Luther's desire to reveal the truth about the Bible, which led him to have a split in the Catholic Church. New leaders and denominations further displayed people's dissatisfaction with the Church, as you can see led here by John Calvin. And of course, Catholics like Philip II reformed and attempted to reassert their dominance in Europe and abroad. The Treaty of Westphalia after the 30 Years' War established the notion of sovereignty in law, and Europeans spread their goods, culture, their influence, and their ideas of the nation-state into a global scale.
So, to finish off the Wild Wild West, I'll show you a theatrical portrayal of the defenestration that sparked the 30 Years' War, the brutal warfare that epitomized it, and the war's aftermath.